All right, guys. Don't let the smile over here fool you. We have spent the last couple moments being in the storm. So Carrie has posted earlier this week, about being in the storm for a couple years and how coming more and more connected with her own identity and owning that identity and her perspectives on certain things has allowed her to have a healthy direction to her life. And then I did a video about how in the storm I needed to be really careful about truths that I decided were facts, because facts are data. You know, it is 61 degrees outside. My truth could be that, hey, if I just came from Hawaii, that's cold. If I just came from Siberia, my truth is it's warm. Truth can be different for different people based off of perspective, and that's exactly what she was having in the storm. Guess what we're in right now? What are we in right now? Mother, son of what?
We're definitely in a day, for sure. For sure. I think that there's just sort of a whirlwind of things going on with, first of all.
Here we go. She's letting it down, guys. So it's about to come out.
First of all, we can't just do one new startup like normal people. We have to do 3.5, 5.
I've been busy this morning. I launched 2 more.
So, what that means is that we are back into a season of a lot of travel for Adam. And this was week 2 consecutively of my being a single parent. And I think that it's a little bit different now than it was when our kids were like 6 and 3.
Yeah.
Because there's only one of me. And now they have all these places to go and homework to do. And one is doing soccer and one is doing this highly labor-intensive, time-intensive theater group that is a 40-minute drive away. And they're asking an awful lot. Not just of her, but of us too. I mean, so back and forth. Not to mention the fact that I guess I had a couple of events over the weekend. So it's like Adam's stuff was eating up the week, and then my stuff was eating up the weekend. Mix in some crazy kids and their insane schedules, and it really is a perfect storm. And then our technology doesn't want to work? No.
I'll tell you what, you buy all this money for
buy all this money? Can you do that? Can you just buy some money?
You can.
Because that would solve so many of our problems.
You buy the money, but then you just spend that money, you just buy it. Sometimes you even buy that money and then you buy equipment that your wife gets very angry at. And then she's so mad at her laptop.
Hulk smash.
And so, yeah, look at you, and you made the dog bark too. And then you get really uncomfortable being around her because she's so angry at the iPad. And she's like, why doesn't everything work?
Listen, ain't nobody got time for stuff not to work.
Yeah, now we're just using their phone.
Now we're just using a phone.
Because it works. Here's the thing though, when I heard other people talk about, I gotta take my kids to soccer practice and I gotta do this, and I was like, well, you're just driving around. What are you actually complaining about? I mean, it doesn't sound that bad. I didn't know until we were in the middle of it. The amount of stress just transporting little human beings to places because, number one, you're driving, and driving can be stressful, especially when you're there.
I called Adam this week, and you must have been sitting in an airport or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just taking Eva to rehearsal, and somebody was driving towards us in our lane on like a 6-lane highway, and it's like, she was like, oh, my bad, and she went, boop, boop, over the median, over the concrete median, into her actual side of the road. And it was pouring down rain. Eva and I are like, oh my gosh, we so almost died.
I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby.
I mean, very stressful.
Yeah. So I very much disrespected all that. I feel like when older couples were saying, you wait until you have to drive. People are like, come on. Well, I listen to a book on tape. It's all good. Well, it turns out, yeah, so we're in the middle of a storm because we're transitioning from one kind of life to another. We were transitioning from summer and no responsibilities, and then we got into school and more responsibilities, and now we have active after-school agendas and itineraries, and I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm going to get on that plane.
Oh, by the way, here's this business.
I'll
run that.
I'll take care of 4. You only have to do 1. You just do 1, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about some ways to manage our current stress. And we're going to go off script a little bit because she loves it when we do that. One of the things we talk about in our workshop is an identity statement, and this is who you actually are, not what you do. I am a father. She is a mother.
Not a role.
Not a role.
Not a business owner. Not a spouse.
Yep.
Not even a wife or a husband.
Yep. And so by understanding who you are, that shows up in each role, and then understanding how that is grounding your decision making. So I'll give you an example. Mine is, I'm a man of nature-bending purposes that lead by example. So I've got a lot of things I got to get done. I'm going to bend the whole universe to make it happen. But the thing that really terrifies me about my identity statement is leads by example. Because up to this point in my life, I have done what I want. And now when I show up with this whole leads by example thing in my identity, I'm like hyper aware. In my role as father, am I leading by example? In my role as husband, should I go down the rabbit hole with my wife and curse the iPad? You know, how do you...
Only if it's going to get it fixed.
It will not.
I don't care.
Right? And so the same thing's true here. Your identity, you're showing up in this whole thing, you know. Let's unpack what you're experiencing right now. Overwhelmed, feeling disrespected, feeling all of these negative emotions on your shoulders. You have your identity, and then you have your truths. How are you going to put all those together? How are you going to...
Right. Well, so one of the principles of the identity statement is taking something that you are and something that you really aspire to be. Something that you're really working on, and you put them together, and then you can tell yourself, I am this, who does this, and it kind of makes that a doable goal. And so my personal identity statement, and there is a whole process for how you come up with your personal identity statement. We might do that in another video some other time, but mine is, I'm a woman, a lady.
She's
a lady.
Woman.
I'm a woman of action who does what she says she's gonna do. So it's a little bit reversed for your, and I keep looking over a little to the left, because his personal identity statement is written on the board in front of me, so I'm not like completely ignoring you guys. Or I have a lazy eye or something. I'm looking at the thing over here, and it says, I'm a man of nature-bending purpose who leads by example. And
that's me.
So you kind of flipped it, and you did the thing that you already are first. So for mine, I am a woman of action. It's actually not always true.
That's aspirational.
Yes, it's something that I want to be, and that I am more often than I'm not. But it's also a real area of I tend to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more hesitant, and I have been known to freeze up a little in the face of insecurities or fears or whatever they may be.
Yeah, the lower mind starts yelling at you, and you have to get through that first.
Right. So sometimes I think too, when I start getting overwhelmed and I start getting frustrated, really it's some of that coming back up, sort of to get in my own way a little bit to prevent me from being.
Anger is a fantastic shield. You can get angry at something. I'm not saying that's what happened today. She didn't get angry at the technology as an outlet for other things going on.
Or the children.
Those sweet babies.
I would never get angry at our beautiful, perfect children.
Yeah, but the cool thing is right? And it used to be, at least for me, I could live in that negative lower mind state that would stop me from doing things or cause me to do things. Your lower mind tends to stop you.
Mine tends to prevent me from going where I want to go.
And mine is like,
you're
entitled,
like,
buddy. You're entitled. You deserve that. You sure do. Go get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I interrupted.
But I do think that sometimes we can really get in our own way. So when we have this sort of statement that's a goal, it's who we want to be when we grow up, not what we want to be, but who we want to be.
Yeah.
Then we have a better idea of what we want to bring to our relationships.
Yep.
So I think you did a good job of being a man who leads by example, by not feeding into
I went and got a cup of coffee.
My panic.
Yep.
Or doing what you typically do in situations like this, which is like, you know what, let's just act like nothing's happening. We'll just ignore her and give her a week or so and not talk to her, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll just go do what I want. She'll fix herself.
So here's what I said. I said, I'm actually really nervous about bringing anything up right now because I see how agitated you are. But I need to ask a couple questions, otherwise I won't know what to do. And then I didn't wait for permission because she was not in the mood for that. So then I just asked a couple questions, and she was finally like, just make it work. Raw, right? And it was...
You exaggerate.
Somewhat.
You make me sound like a monster.
You're the one who punched the table and made the dog bark. I'm just going with your theme. I thought you wanted to come across hulkish. She's actually a dainty flower. Nah.
I'm not flashing people.
Okay. So, we're meandering. Let's come back to it.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about, in your blog, how you were in the storm and the transition from victimhood to empowerment?
Well, I really need to lay a little bit of background for that and just say that, I think it's always very easy. The easy way out is to never turn the light on yourself. That's always the easiest. The easiest solution is to look to every external source. And typically those are other people or circumstances. And those things can easily be turned into not just the explanation for why you behaved a certain way, or you responded a certain way, or you reacted a certain way, but become excuses. So there's a difference between an explanation and an excuse, and with excuses, you're not really taking any ownership of your part in that.
This is just who I am. It's how I am.
It's just how you knew who I was when you married me. That's my favorite line. People can't change. You knew this is the way I was. This is what you signed up for. And I don't think that's always a great explanation. It sounds more like an excuse.
It's a solid excuse. It's an absolute excuse.
Well, and I mean, you have had some issues with organization and sort of ADHD tendencies, and yeah, Birdie, your whole life, and have struggled with some of those things. And you would come to me and you'd be like, this is just who I am.
I'm only going to pick up my underwear for 2 weeks. I'm only going to make the bed regularly for 2 weeks. And then I will become obsessed with something else, and all these chores you've asked me to do won't get done. It's just who I am.
It's just who he is. So, like, be cool.
That's the wrong answer, by the way.
That's, and I mean, the same was it was the same for me. So I did a lot of blaming, and not only did I blame, but I like really owned blaming you, so that I was, yay, I don't know why we're high-fiving. I was able to,
because you own, everyone, okay, keep going. So you owned it.
I owned it, but what I mean by that is like I was really good at blaming you. So I actually like got really angry and resentful. And
cruel even sometimes. Cruel.
Yeah. Harsh for sure. And so that started really turning me into something that I didn't like Hulk to the 10th degree. And I'm used to jokingly call me a chihuahua, because I'd be like, and another thing, and I was not scared to bite. So, you know, it was exhausting. And really, I don't even really know what the trigger was for me that kind of turned it around and made me realize that, you know what, I really, mostly I think it was the counseling. I really can't change him. I really can't change whether he's ADD or whether he drinks too much, or I can't change any of those things. Even if I want to, I mean, it's not that those things can't upset me, but he's got to live his truth and I've got to live mine. And I just can't live looking at a mirror at a face of someone who's that bitter inside. So that was really the catalyst for saying, okay, well, if I don't want to be this person, who do I want to be?
Yeah, so then it becomes intentionality. That is picking your target, right? What do I want? Who's this person I'm going to become? Who's this person that I love? Who's still inside, right? And then it's living in that identity over time. For me, I can't tell you how much progress I feel like I've made by this leads by example. It comes up in the middle of all kinds of situations where I'm like, nope, if you lead by example, you're not going to do that. Or if you lead by example, you're going to go do that extra mile. You're going to do that extra thing. And guess what? You're not going to complain about it, and you're going to find joy in the behavior, right? If I lead by example, I go to the Lion King and I help do the thing. And I am joyful because I get to do it. I'm not going to complain about all of these things. And
Servitude with a cheerful heart.
Try again.
Servitude with a cheerful heart.
Heart. Yep. So, yeah.
Making fun of my southern accent?
A little
my
bit.
Heart.
Your heart. I was like, try again. And she's like, with my heart.
With my heart.
I'll get my heart on the oil. She put the oil on the heart, and then you get the hurt bird. And then the bird. I'm like, you raising my children with that language, woman. They're never going to make it in the way. I digress. So, one of the tricks that I have been doing is I bought a money clip, and I put my personal identity statement on it. And it's in my pocket every time. I'm at a bar, and I'm having a drink, and I got to pay. I pull this thing out, and I see it right here. It leads by example. I'm like, you know
there
what?
There are pounds in there right now. There's not actual money.
Well, until Brexit, they're going to be fine. And then, who knows? Maybe they're a collector's item as England burns.
Wow.
I got dark. So, the thing that really resonates with me for a personal identity statement that triggers change is that it should probably scare you a little bit.
A little bit,
It should
yeah.
probably
It's not
make
going to be
you
100%
uncomfortable.
comfortable, yeah.
So that's your
I
weather
agree with
vane.
that.
When you hear something that it looks right and it makes you do it again.
Ooh.
Yeah, when it gets right into your heart, you got to. I got hurt, burn. Then you know you're onto something. And then if you could just keep it going, right? Find something that keeps it in there. But when the fire gets lit, that you're gonna become something different, that you're gonna metamorphose into something different, then your responsibility is to take a first step. And the first step is to own who you are and who you're trying to become. And it's completely okay if it's wrong, but continue to search for that statement that makes you feel a little un-okay. And that's going to be your weather vane, and you're going to start seeing some pretty interesting changes.
I think, too, that then the next step is to bring that person that you want to be into your relationships. I mean, and not even just like...
Well, into your roles, right?
Yeah, it's not just in your marriage. The kind of boss you want to be, the kind of parent you want to be, the kind of
community member,
the kind of child that you want to be. Adam's mom's been sick on and off for the last couple of years, and we're going into a season of her being on dialysis, and it's kind of changed for you how you're operating as a son with aging parents. So I mean, these are really, really important role changes based on your nature bending.
My nature bending purpose, meaning that my purpose is strong enough that I can bend my own nature, and nature around me will bend as I manifest this purpose. You know, when I hear my mom is going to need a kidney transplant or be on dialysis for the rest of her life, the fact that I believe in a nature bending purpose means, I'm going to figure out how to grow a kidney, right? No, you can't do it right now. I don't care. I got time. She's got time. Let's go work on that problem, right? So, stay tuned from one of these things from University of Chicago's biolabs. It's going to be great.
Are we investing in this?
Hell yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway.
So, when we posted earlier this week some questions about what is the best thing about yourself that you bring to your relationship, it caused a lot more people to go, I don't know. It seems like the best thing about me is also the worst thing. So I found that to be really interesting.
Yeah, I thought I was being original. I didn't read any of your stuff before I posted, and then I read back and was like, now it looks like I'm copying Wanda. Dang it.
Well, and I think Scott said the same kind of thing too.
What, that I copied Wanda?
No.
Shut up, Scott.
No, just that, not just that the best thing about me is also the worst thing about me, but the best thing about me, the thing that my spouse loves most about me, maybe the thing that drives her the most crazy as well, which I think is really kind of ironic. So I think there's a flip to that. Making sure that this quality, these things that you're bringing, are additive, and it's always a balance, right?
Well, and that's probably the final point we should talk about is how do you take these two human beings with two distinct identities and do life together? And, that is not something that just happens. That you have to put in the work. And, it gets right back down to, are you doing your behaviors and working on your marriage? And, that's what this whole thing's about, encouraging each other, that while you're in the middle of all this storm, that, there's a lighthouse, and in the distance is going to show you the right way, and,
And that you're both still going towards the same lighthouse.
Exactly. And yeah, maybe, let's take this metaphor farther. Maybe you're in the ocean, and there's a storm everywhere, and we're kayaking. Remember when we used to kayak together, and we're in the same kayaks? And we don't do that anymore because you kept smacking me and you wouldn't follow directions.
That's not even a little bit true. I'm a great kayaker.
So it's not only just that you're heading in the right directions, is that you are willing to listen to each other. I'll tell you why she kept hitting me. I'll tell you why she wasn't listening. It's because I wasn't listening to her and I wasn't observing her.
And also you kept splashing our friends who were in the boat beside us. It's really annoying.
It's always a party with Adam.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is there's a lighthouse, you've got different identities, you're heading that direction. You're in the storm together. It's no one's fault. The storm is just there. And,
And once it passes, guess what? There's going to be another one eventually.
Yeah, so you're either going to dread each storm or you're going to find a way to enjoy it.
And grow through it.
Yep. That's pretty good. Man, that's wisdom. Bam. Sprinkling wisdom. Would you like some? Here you go. Wisdom for the wives. It's lice in your hair now. Wisdom itches. Are we done?
I don't know how we got here. Anyway, this week we will delve a little bit deeper into some of these things. I'm not exactly sure where we'll go with it yet.
We don't have to know. We're making this.
We'll
up.
see.
Oh, by the way, March 4th, we're doing a meetup.
Yeah, so Meetup is an app, and it's specifically for meetups.
We'll put a link to the meetup. It's going to be at Fire Forge Brewery on a Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I know if you've got kids, it's hard to do,
Right.
but we are attempting to spread our net wider to people we don't know. And I'm going back to negative behaviors that have been fruitful. So I'm going to buy drinks for people.
Well, either way, I think it'll be fun.
It will be. Meeting new people.
Even if it's just, just to hang out.
Yeah.
Even if it's just us and a couple of you guys, that'd be fantastic too. But we did want to thank you all for so many great interactions this week. That was fun, and it's really validation that we are going to go somewhere with this. So we just ask that you guys continue to do all of those things. If you have any specific asks on content or questions or something you want us to talk about or write about, or
just post it and start a conversation.
or if you know how to do Facebook Lives better than we do.
I doubt it. We're pretty good at this.
Well, as long as we have one phone that works, we're fine.
All right. I'm emotionally done with this. Are you ready to... Okay. Hey, thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.